We are in a state of emergency. The United States of America has now become a full blown fascist dictatorship. Things. Now that the big ugly bill has passed, I guess it passed the Senate and it goes back to the House, but the House ain't gonna help us because the House passed it in the first place to begin with. And people don't realize just how far reaching the implications of this are going to be. I, on the other hand, because I am dependent on all the systems and social safety nets and things like that are about to be cut, I'm painfully aware of it. And it's so hard to talk about this. And, I could say for myself, just like a lot of my other friends, it's just like nobody seems to have any energy anymore. I mean, we all just sat here and laid here and basically allowed it to happen or let it happen, or all my friends, are saying, oh yeah, I'm too depressed, I'm too overwhelmed, I'm too this, I'm too that. And why we were all depressed and overwhelmed and fatigued and burdened down. It's like, yeah, they're doing this. And it's gonna hurt a lot of people. And there's already been things in the works for some time that have kind of just flown under the radar because they primarily affect the poor, the disabled, the mentally ill, people that society just don't generally care about at all. But, my friend, calls me the smoke alarm because, yeah, the house is on fire and I'm sending out the warning. I ain't gonna mince words. And, right now, in the last couple of months, I've just been so traumatized. Like, every day, I'm reading on social media about the homeless sweeps and people just disappearing and all the lies that are being told that, all these people were secured housing and shelter beds and things like that before the homeless sweep, only to wait a week and find a follow-up article that comes out, and says that none of these people were sheltered, that it was confirmed that the shelter was full before the sweep. So all those promises of shelter and housing were just lies. And people are disappearing. People are disappearing in these sweeps. And I think I figured it out. All this stuff about ICE and immigrant detention or whatever, I mean, it's just there to shift your focus, like, they want to make you think that, oh, we're coming after immigrants. And yeah, I mean, maybe to a point we are, but really, this whole thing is about coming after American citizens. coming after the poor, the homeless, the helpless. See, the purpose of the homeless sweeps is to get people's documents away from them. When they sweep the tent and they lose their birth certificate, their social security card, their phones, it's like that person becomes undocumented at that point. And once that person loses their documents, legally, they can be picked up and held by ICE. It doesn't matter if you're a citizen or not. And you could be disappeared to a ICE concentration camp. And that is what is happening to our homeless. And that is what is happening to people without friends and family around to pay attention to what's going on. Because in the last few months, 2 of my friends have disappeared without a trace. One of my friends, she was an older woman, and again, there's just no family, no support. I mean, she had a couple friends. I was one of those 2 friends that she had checking on her. And I knew that, she was starting to mentally deteriorate. Dementia or whatever, was going on with her. And she ended up, she was in some kind of program for senior citizens called PACE that comes to your, that came to the house and they checked on her and they did housework and things like that. And I'm imagining that these were the people that ended up, initiating, I guess, her kidnapping, but at the time she was delusional. She wasn't paying the rent on her apartment, and these PACE people came and they got her out of her home. And the last time I heard from her was like last February or March. And she called me from, what she thought to be like an assisted living home. And I was all happy at first because I'm like, oh, good, finally she's getting the help that she needs. This is great. She's in assisted living. But then that was the last time I talked to her, because after that, the assisted living home said that she was appointed a guardian. The guardian controls who she can and cannot speak to. They won't confirm or deny if she's still at the retirement home. The cell phone is gone. The number is dead. And there was just, she's disappeared. There's no way to find her. She has been cut off from her support system. Just gone. Just gone without a trace. Like, I don't know if she's dead or alive. And around the same time, her daughter, who has mental illness, she decided that, well, I guess, like, I don't know what made her decide, but she did. She decided to just up and leave her apartment. And last I know of her, and this was like last April, she caught a bus down to South Carolina. And the last time I talked to her was about mid-April. And she was asking me for money. And she said, oh, it's freezing down here, please, I'm cold, I need money for a hotel room, I just need money for one night, and then tomorrow I'm due to go into this homeless shelter, and again, that's the last I ever heard from my friend. The phone is dead. The number is dead. She's gone. I know she has my phone number memorized. You know, if she can get to a phone somehow, she could probably call me. But, because my number hasn't changed. But again, like, nothing. No, just disappeared without a trace. Just gone. No support system. No documents. No, nothing. She's gone. And so, yeah, and right now, you know, I have two other friends that are having severe mental health crisis right now, and they are in danger. And yeah, I'm worried because after having two people in my life, and they were dear friends, they were like family, just disappear without a trace. Yeah, I'm worried sick. Because these are the people that, you know, when they get kidnapped, they're the least able to be, you know, like to advocate for themselves, to say, where am I? What am I doing here? And I need to call my friends. My friends are the only ones looking out for me. So, you know, like, I'm imagining that, you know, my friends have been taken to a place like this. Just like that. These are the kind of places where they are taking our homeless right now. These are the kind of places where my friends have disappeared to. These are the kind of places where if you're in poverty and you're on benefits and they're cutting you off of your Medicare and your Medicaid and you gotta taper off your psych drugs and you can't think and speak for yourself and nobody can think and speak for you, these are the kind of places where you're gonna end up. And this is real. This is real, and this is really happening. And I would say, if you are on psychiatric medication, and you are able to come off of it, start tapering now. Do not wait until they take your Medicare and your Medicaid and you are cold turkeyed off of psych drugs, because you will go crazy. I'm tapering off of psych drugs right now because of the big beautiful bill. Like I said, it's passed the Senate. It will pass the House. It's going to pass. And it's not just psychiatric medication, any kind of medication. You know, and I realize some of you are not going to be able to come off of the medication. I feel for you. I pray for you. But yes, if it is within your power and your ability to start your taper off of medications now, you need to be doing that. And it's not easy. It's not easy. I'm laying in this bed, and my body is just so full of anxiety. I have not slept in over 24 hours. It might be more than that, I don't know. My bladder is just spasming. I am just peeing and peeing and peeing and peeing, and I can't get to sleep worth nothing. And this is part of the taper. Last time I tried to go off of all the medication, I went 3 days without sleep. And when I went outside to go get my mail, it felt like I was like in a complete alien world. It was really scary. And I realized that I couldn't drive my car because it wasn't safe. It wasn't even safe for me to go and get my mail because I was in, an altered state, 3 days without sleep because of tapering. So I ended up having to go back on the medication. I've been tapering for about 2 years, trying to just cut it down, but realizing the urgency that I need to get off of this. Maybe I've moved a little too quick. I don't know. Right now, I'm down to 2 1/8 meds, but the last couple of days, I have not been taking even that, because I'm trying to just, go for broke and get off. And yeah, I feel like my body and my mind are about to break. I was ready, this afternoon to just go and take a little bit of medication so that I could sleep. And that's when I got on Facebook and I saw that the Senate passed the big beautiful bill. And I'm like, nope, you're gonna have to be strong. You're gonna have to be stronger than you ever were in your life to get through this. And so yeah, the taper is, it's a must. It's a must, because I am not going to sit by and do nothing and have them take away my Medicaid and be cold turkeyed off of psychiatric medication. I will not do that, because if I lose my mind, like my friends have, I will be kidnapped. And I will have no way of talking to the outside world about the things that I know to be the truth. And so, yeah, I have to keep fighting with everything that I got in me right now to do the hardest thing that I've ever been called to do in life, which I guess is just to make it through these last days. I mean, who would have thought? It was taking everything out of me, like every ounce of energy, like mentally, physically, psychologically, whatever, just to survive. Just to survive. And I know a lot of my friends are feeling the exact same way. Out of my circle of friends, there's maybe like 1 or 2 that are doing good. The rest of us, we're doing it Titanic style. We're on a sinking ship. Just I ain't gonna mince words. Also, if you own your own home, if you own the home that you live in, it might be time to start preparing to take on a renter, because you will need the ability to generate some extra income. And that's a situation that I only wish that I was in, because, again, we are talking about housing vouchers being lost. We are talking about food stamps being lost. We are talking about income being lost for the poorest of the poor. Now, a couple of my friends I know out there do own the home that they live in. And my advice to them is, yes, you need to prepare to rent out a room, because that's what's going to keep you alive. And then, I guess here comes the part that really a lot of people, I guess, are not going to want to hear, but it's the truth. I can't hold the truth back any longer. Now, I know I've talked this way to a couple of my friends, but I'm going to talk this way to everybody right now. Because there is only one way out of this. And that is God's kingdom. That is God's kingdom government. The second coming of the Christ. When Jesus' second comes, and that is the point of his second coming, because he will rule over the earth at that point. That is why he's called King of Kings and Lord of Lords. And in the book of Isaiah, it says the government or the rulership will be on his shoulders. This kingdom, the second coming of the Christ, is what we pray for when we pray the Lord's Prayer. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. And I know a lot of people don't like it when I talk this way, that I say that God's kingdom is the only solution to these problems. And I guess maybe because if you admit to yourself that we can't fix this, and that only God can, maybe you lose a little bit of control. Because now you're in a situation where, I guess you have to completely trust God. And, people would like to think that we can fix this ourselves. But I always say, are we doing it? Because I think the answer to that is clear cut. We are moving as a society in the complete opposite direction that we need to be moving in. Our leadership, our politicians, they don't have the answers. They are not going to fix this. If they were capable of fixing it, it would have been fixed by now. And these are our most educated people. These are the people that have been to Harvard and Princeton and all the best schools. And their education, I guess, has taught them that it's okay to hurt other people. And that's the situation that we're in right now. Is that people are gonna get hurt. The decisions that are being made at the top right now are selfish, they're greedy, and while they are aimed at hurting the poor, hurting the most vulnerable in society, it isn't gonna be just the poor that get hurt. If these social safety net programs are gone, Medicare, Medicaid, if those are gone, We are talking about hospital closures. We are talking about nursing home closures. We are talking about psych ward closures. I told my therapist today, they're coming for your job. My Medicaid, my Medicare pays for your job. But see, that's how it goes. When you want to hurt other people, you always end up hurting yourself too. You want to take away the programs? You think that that's going to put people back to work? You're dreaming. If we lose Medicaid and Medicare, and you have an autistic child, then you stay home from work. You take care of your autistic child. If we lose our Medicaid and Medicare, and you have an elderly parent, and you're not going to be able to get any kind of caregiving help or whatever, then guess who quits their job? You quit your job to caregive for your elderly parent. And all this because you, I guess, voted for somebody that was intent on hurting other people. And for my part, I'm going to come right out and say it. I did not vote. And I am not ashamed of that, and I do not regret it. Because sometimes we do have to take a stand for what is right. And I couldn't support either side of the aisle. Under Biden, our affordable phones got cut. Our affordable internet got cut. Our pandemic food stamps got cut. The homeless sweeps were happening then, though not as intense as they are now. Under California, a Democratic governor, vicious homeless sweeps before Trump. So, yeah, I couldn't. Everybody wanted me to vote for Camellia. I couldn't do it. I did not vote for Trump because I didn't vote. But my stance on the issue is, would it have mattered who I voted for? I don't think it matters. I mean, Bible prophecy says that things would get bad in the times that we're living in. Jesus talked about earthquakes and food shortages, wars and pestilences. In the book of Timothy, 2 Timothy chapter 3, 1 through 5, talks about the attitude of the people in the last days, that they would be lovers of themselves, lovers of money. So, yeah, selfish and greedy. Selfish and greedy. Selfishness and greed are the causes of all these problems. What does your pillow say? Probably my pillow says, quit laying on me all the time. I'm just so tired. I mean, it is exhausting just to face this. Just to get up every day and face this, situation. And, you know, and I'm not going to come off like I'm one of those people that, that believe, just because I believe God's kingdom is coming and that I believe God's kingdom is going to fix all these problems, that I'm just fine right now. Because I'm not. I'm going to be straight up honest. This is painful to watch. I'm in pain. Every day, when I see the way that we're treating our fellow man and how what Jesus taught is not being followed, I'm in pain. And, all this unnecessary suffering that we just inflict on each other because of greed and selfishness, it's painful. Every time I go on Facebook and I see that there was a sweep, I feel those people's pain. It cuts through me like a knife. And, well, I guess that's why when Lot was in Sodom and Gomorrah and he saw all the badness going around him, it said that it tormented his righteous soul. So, yeah, I am in a state of torment. But it would be worse. It would be a lot worse if I didn't have the hope of the kingdom coming, honestly, because not so long ago, of course, it's been a while now, but, 15 years ago, I didn't believe in God. I didn't believe in God's kingdom. But of course, back then, I thought that maybe we could turn this boat around. But even at that time, 15 years ago, I was starting to become disillusioned with the system because at that time, I left, and now this is after 10 years of being institutionalized, and living in group homes. I decided that this time I would go to, live on my own. I wouldn't go back home to my parents because I did that twice before and they just locked me back up. So, yeah, it was kind of like either like a do or die situation. So I left that group home with 2 garbage bags full of clothes to start, a life, I guess, for myself. But even by then, all the programs were just cut bone dry. Like, by the time I got out, there was no help with, internet, a phone, no help with transportation, no help with vocational training, like, just no help at all to, like, make any progress. I basically was like, I get a very meager SSI check. It's never been enough to live on. Food stamps that don't last me through the month. Maybe they last half of the month, if that. Transportation has always been a struggle. And yeah, it's just been a poverty trap. There has been no way out to better myself at all. I had to turn down a $5,000 scholarship that was offered to me at that time because I had no transportation to the college. And I had no help to get a smartphone or internet or computer. So I couldn't use the scholarship. So, yeah, you know, um, And, it was around that time that, I ended up finding a book in the library, and it had a very interesting title. It was called You Can Live Forever in Paradise on Earth. And, even though I knew that that book was some kind of religion and I didn't believe in God, I decided that I wanted to read it because it talked about a paradise Earth. And, atheists, they don't go to heaven and they don't go to hell. Right? But they do care about what's going on the earth. So I grabbed the book and I brought it home and I started to read it. And, it was a Bible study aid. And I ended up, I had an old Bible, that I got at some thrift shop or something just to have it around. So I have this Bible, I have this book, and now I'm reading through this book, and, I thought what I was reading was ridiculous until I got to a certain point where it talked about that Satan was ruling the earth from behind the scenes. The political, the commercial, and the false religion systems. And at first I didn't want to believe that because that would mean believing in God, but I couldn't reason that away. Because this world is just that evil. It's that deranged and sick and perverse and messed up that, yeah, I, at that point, it was like a switch flipped. I did believe that Satan rules from behind the scenes. And once you believe that, then, you have to believe everything else. You have to believe that there is a God. You have to believe that he has a son called Jesus. And then you have to believe the truth about the kingdom. That about thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. So, yeah, this is part of the warning. Everything that you know right now to be true, and all these governments of the earth, very shortly, I can't put a day or a time on it because that's not scriptural, and I can't do that. But all the signs are there that we are living in the last days. And living in the last days does not mean that the world is going to blow up or something like that. It doesn't mean that everybody on the earth is going to die. It doesn't mean that at all. Living in the last days means that the days of the system, of Satan's rulership, of man's governments are numbered. And the Bible says Satan is angry because his time is short. That is why things are getting bad, because Satan and the demons are angry. Because they know the signs too. They know that it's close to Jesus coming. So what does the second coming of the Christ mean? It means a change in world government. Jesus will rule the earth. He will take it over. He will overthrow all these man-made governments. And Jesus will be the ruler of the earth. And yeah, it is my job to speak out and warn people that our rulership is about to change. And so, what does that mean? Like, okay, now you know the rulership of the earth is about to change. Or you don't know it because, like, don't take my word for it, right? But, so this is like my next piece of advice. Listen, I got nothing but time on my hands right now. And I'm sick. I'm tapering. We're living in a system that's going down. So I am putting this offer out there to anybody that's watching this. I want to teach you all about this kingdom. I want to teach you about why it has to come. I want to teach you about what it will do for the earth. I want to teach you everything that I know, that I learned in my 2 years of studying the Bible. So if you want to learn more about this kingdom, I'll be more than happy to take the time out, free of charge. Because like I said, don't have a lot of money. I do have the time. And I want you to be prepared for this change in government. And like me, I want you to look forward to this change in government. Because this change in government is going to be the best thing that ever happened to us. Because if you think about all the stuff that our leadership is doing right now that's bad, Jesus will do the exact opposite. Because Jesus cares about people. And me as somebody that supports this new government, I care about people. And they have a right to know. You have a right to know. So yeah, that's the long and the short of it. Yeah, we are not gonna fix things. We're weak. We're weak. We sat by. We let this happen. We let our country descend into fascism. We're weak. I'm weak. But God is strong. God is almighty. And God has promised that at His appointed time, He will fix these problems. He will fix this. And at this point in time, there's no choice but to rely on Him to fix this, because we can't fix it. And, we have to accept that, we can't fix the problems on this planet any more than we can control when the sun rises and sets. But the good news is that we don't have to worry about that. Because God makes the sun rise and He makes the sun set. I don't see anybody that's worried about, is the sun gonna rise tomorrow? Like, nobody's worried about that. So, yeah, God will fix this. Any God in his right mind would. It's just gonna be really hard getting through this. And, I guess I had to come to terms with that. And I have come to terms with that. I took a stand for what I thought was right. And I might have to pay for that. And all my friends, they tell me, well, stop complaining. And yeah, I'm gonna try to, because I guess this is what I signed up for. Yeah. Well, I hope that this helps, I guess, somebody on some level. You are in my prayers. I do not want to lose any more friends. I mean, my heart just can't take it. I just can't. Now, I know that that's probably a non-reality, but... Anyway, have a good afternoon. Have a good rest of the day, as good as you can. Whoever you are watching this, you are in my prayers, because, rough seas ahead. But we do have the hope of God's kingdom. You want to learn more about it? Message me. Call me. 586-843-7403.